Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, we saw a pretty decent upside move off of the 2468 half high volume node, and buyers ended up pushing ES beyond yesterday's high and setting an overnight high of 77 quarter. So our overnight bias is neutral bullish, but our short-term bias continues to be neutral because the market is still technically trading within a balance area and within a range. Now, given the overnight price action, if the buyers are going to remain in firm control, then ideally we don't even get a pullback towards 66 to 68.5, but that is the main area of support on the day time frame, and ideally you want to see the market holding above that zone if the buyers are to retain the control that we've seen in the overnight session. On the upside, the main area of resistance is 78 to 80.5. That marks the all-time high and the upper edge of the current balance area, and in order for the market to put in a sustained breakout above 78 to 80.5, we do have to see broad market strength and sustained upside momentum. On the downside, a break below 66 to 68.5 would signal short-term weakness and bring the 60.5 to 62.5 area into play, and that's still a spot where responsive buyers can be active on first test, especially if the market is exhausted into it. Below 60.5, we have last week's low at 24.57, followed by a high volume node at 56.5. And that is yet another spot where responsive buyers can be active on first test. Bigger picture, if you zoom out a bit and you look at the last 10 days, you can see that the market has been very range bound. And until we get a sustained breakout beyond 78 to 80.5 or a sustained breakdown below 60.5 and below 56.5 to 57, the market can remain in a fairly balanced and range-bound state. So off the open today, the question is going to be whether we are seeing signs of directionality, whether we are seeing a positive and upward trending advanced decline line with the tick holding above zero, which would signal the buy side in control. That can bring 78 to 80.5 into play. If that bullishness continues, and if that momentum sustains and the NYSE tick continues to hold above zero and print some nice values, then there would be a chance to break out and test higher prices. But if we're seeing a lack of strength above 24.75 and especially at 78 to 80.5, then the market can continue to balance within the recent range. On the downside, in order to break down below 60.5 to 62.5, we have to see excess weakness. So at that zone, if we're seeing a lack of weakness, then again, the market can continue to balance within a range. So essentially, if we're not seeing excess strength or excess weakness, the market can remain in a very balanced and two-sided state. But if we are seeing some clear signs of momentum one way or the other, then that would signal directionality. It's also going to be helpful to keep an eye on the other markets, see how they're performing on the day time frame. Aside from that, Apple reports earnings after the close, and that can be a very important catalyst, especially for the Nasdaq. So unless we're seeing some very clear-cut signs of directionality, the market can continue to balance between initial support and initial resistance, or if we start seeing some downside momentum, it can still continue balancing above the 60.5 to 62.5 zone. So those are the main ideas heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain the strength that we've seen in the overnight session, and we'll take it from there.